All right, what's up, everyone? We got an exciting another episode today. We got Joshua Harris, 20 years old, fighting Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows.
You gotta keep moving, let's keep moving, let's go. Don't quit till you got nothing left.
You can either live your dreams or live your fears.
Because you'll have bad times, but that'll always wake you up to the good stuff you weren't paying attention to.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
From the Cancer Sucks Studios, you just tuned in to Life Lessons and Cancer Hope with Coach Steve. Listen, cancer ain't got nothing on me. Introducing an outstanding podcast where we discuss relatable life lessons, ambition, motivation, and perseverance. Welcome back to another episode. Joshua, thanks for being on the show with us and taking the time to tell us your story. And so, what was life like for you before you were diagnosed and before you started getting any kind of symptoms?
So I'm a 20-year-old college baseball player. I've been playing college baseball since 2019, and my life before I got cancer was mainly that. It was just going to school, it was lifting, it was playing baseball, and just my whole life revolved around baseball and revolved around whatever I was doing at school.
He who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. That most of you say you want to be successful, but you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You don't want it badder than you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us.
And I didn't really have many symptoms of Hodgkin's lymphoma, and except for just one. Like, there was one symptom that I couldn't shake for about 6 to 8 months, and I had no idea it was even Hodgkin's lymphoma or cancer related. So it was itching. It was just constant itching on my legs and arms, and I had no idea what that meant. And I went to a whole bunch of dermatologists, and they're like, "There's nothing wrong with you." I thought it was like psychosomatic. I thought it was an anxiety-based thing. So I was just I was losing sleep for like 6 to 8 months. I was getting like 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. It was ridiculous. And it was really bad. And we fortunately found out that I had cancer in a very weird way. Like, it was all because of COVID. So yeah, I was playing baseball. It was mid-April, and we have to get tested for traveling and all that kind of stuff for COVID. And get tested for COVID in April. Didn't have too many symptoms. I just had like a stuffy nose, and got tested positive. Got sent home. Was dealing with that for about 10 days. Nothing really too bad. Just kind of felt really run down. That was about it. And then I get back to playing ball. I have to wait for 2 weeks because we have like these these COVID procedures and all that kind of stuff for baseball.
Sure.
And season ends eventually, and I'm supposed to be playing baseball down in Florida for a pre-professional league called the Florida Gulf Coast League. And like, you sign a contract to go play there and everything. And my parents were really big on me getting tested for my lungs and heart and stuff like that, because they saw that young athletes who got COVID, they had some issues with their heart and their lungs, and they wanted to make sure that I was fine. And before I went down there to go play in the heat, that I'd be okay. So I'm like, okay, I really didn't want to do it. My doctors suggested that I didn't even do it either, because they're like, you're pretty good shape. You're 20 years old. You're going to be fine. So my parents were really big on pushing it. So, eventually got all that stuff done, got my blood work done. Blood work came fine. Chest x-ray, saw some like nodules in my chest. Yeah. And they were like, that could just be leftover COVID residue, but like bacteria and stuff like that. So they wanted to check in a little bit more. And then I waited 2 weeks to see what the issue was, and then got a CT scan. And the CT scan came back with So it was from my head to my my groin, and they found some nodules and some more tumors, like right around in here, in my neck, in my windpipe, and then in my chest. So they were really concerned with that, and they immediately thought that since because of my age and some the other symptoms like the itching and stuff like that, it would be Hodgkin's lymphoma. So they
Oh, wow.
yeah, so it's like a pretty big common symptom with like night sweats and itching, and those are the only things that really for young people you see with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And so I went and got those CT scans done. They told me that it was possible Hodgkin's lymphoma. So then my next step was to get a biopsy, and I hate needles. I hate going into hospitals and stuff, and I was very nervous about it. But got the biopsy done. I got part of the tumor taken out right here. And
yeah, so lower neck for those that are listening to like right. Google Podcasts and things like that, or Apple.
Yeah, right on my lower neck.
Okay, lower neck. Yep.
And then they put in a barred power port for chemo because they said that location of the tumors, radiation would be really hard to do.
So the biopsy, I'm going to pause right there. So I assume then at that point, the biopsy came back, right? Mm-hmm. And confirmed Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Right.
And then that's when they said, okay, we got to, put a port in and do chemo. What was your parents?
Pretty immediate.
Pretty immediate. Wow.
That all happened within like 10 to 15 minutes of them finding out exactly what it was.
Oh, so you're still there.
I'm completely under. I was under for about 4 hours because they did my first thing, which was the biopsy. Had to get everything tested. So that was about 15 to 20 minutes. They sent the results to the labs, got everything tested, came back with Hodgkin's lymphoma. Then they're like, okay, immediately we want to put in his port so that he can get started.
So you were still under you were still under anesthesia?
I was completely under everything. Like I was out.
The whole time. So then they're like, well, you're under right now. Let's put the port in. Might as well, right? Wow, that's good.
Yeah, it was really good. The people at UNC Rex are very, very good. Very blessed to have them be my primary care people. And like they came out, told my parents, they were all in the waiting room with our main liaison nurse person, and came over, told him the situation, that it is Hodgkin's lymphoma, that they were right before, and that they would like to start the chemo almost as soon as they can by putting in the port. So they bring out the little port. I've never even seen it, except for when I just looked it up on the internet, and they showed my parents, and they're like, this is what's going to be in here. This is how he's going to be getting his chemo done for the next 6 months. And just wanted to let you guys know that we're going to start doing that immediately. Like we're going to put it in immediately. So I was out the entire time, and it felt like I just closed my eyes and woke up. Like I know that people who have surgery pretty regularly have that same experience where they're just like immediately awake afterwards. And I just felt like I just took a nap and just woke up with some extra little pieces in me and some was taken out.
What just happened?
Exactly. Yeah, and I was this is my first surgery. When I was younger, I had an arachnoid cyst in my brain, so I had to have surgery for that to get that removed. And so an arachnoid cyst is it's a benign tumor, so it's non-cancerous. And it's just pushing on my optic nerve. It's kind of the reason why I have glasses too.
Okay.
But, so that was something I forgot to mention a little bit earlier. I have been dealing with that since I was about 2 years old, and I get
okay, so very young, yeah,
very, very young. But it's been here for 18 years, and the only real thing I got to deal with is sometimes headaches, and then the reason I wear glasses. So not my first time in a hospital room, but this one was a little bit scarier. I can tell you
what was going through your head and your parents, the reaction when they basically said, this before the biopsy, when they had the chest x-ray and the CAT scans, what was their, and then was it a different reaction once things were confirmed with your reaction and your parents?
So my reaction was a little different than my parents. So they didn't even tell me. Like I went to my main practice, like my main guy, and he just had a piece of paper, and he just kind of like slid it to my parents because he's been our family physician for the last 8 years, and he knows my parents really well. He knows me really well. And he wanted to let my parents know a little bit before I did. So he just kind of slid them the paper. And my mom like immediately was in tears because her 20-year-old, I'm an only child, getting told he's got cancer. And I'm like, what's going on? Nobody's telling me anything. I'm really concerned. And my dad and I, both my parents and I have a very good relationship. And my dad just looks me in the eyes, and I could just see, I'm like, this is going to not be, this is not going to be the best news that we could have heard. But my first reaction was, when am I going to be able to play baseball again? And can I play baseball right now? And my doctor was like,
wow, nice.
My doctor was like, that's not going to be right now immediately, because you're going to have to go through chemo, you're going to have to get surgeries done. And I was like, okay, well, what's the best case scenario with me being able to play baseball? Because I was supposed to go down to Florida, like I said, in a month after when we were having this conversation. So I already had baseball in the mind. I've been training for this my entire life. And so we already had baseball in the mind. That's the only thing I could really think about. And then he goes, best case scenario is 2 years that you're going to be fully healthy again. And I was like, okay, thank you for the challenge.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you for the challenge.
For you.
And that's something that that's been in the back of my mind, was him saying 2 years. And I'm going to say only a year or a year and a half. That's my goal, to get back to playing shape again, to get back to being on a roster in the fall, hopefully next fall. No idea where I'm going to be, but wherever I end up going. And I know that I'm going to have a cool story, and I know that I'm going to be mentally and physically stronger than a lot of the other dudes there because of what I've had to deal with.
Wow. It is amazing. I've been doing these interviews now, and and for those that are listening, this is definitely a game changer fighting cancer, because the folks that, get diagnosed with cancer, and they have this mind click, like, all right, they have the vision, right, of beating it earlier than what their doctor is telling them, and also having that vision of their passion, whatever it is. Like for you, it's that baseball, going back to lifting. For other people, it was it's different things, or and trying to get back and just picturing yourself going back to doing the things that you love, and trying to fight this cancer and get it out of the way so you can go back to doing what you love. I mean, I think that's definitely mind over healing. Powerful stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, my biggest inspiration and my biggest push right now is in my faith, and I'm a Christian, unashamed to say that. And I've been a Christian my entire life, and I know that God has pushed me through situations to where I thought I couldn't make it out of it, and He's already pushed me through them. Like same thing with my arachnoid cyst. Like I've been pushed towards and away from my adversities, and been able to get through them. So I had almost no fear at all that I was going to end up bad out of this. And I knew that I was going to beat this no matter what. And that came from my faith.
That's powerful. Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. So where were we in your timeline here? This is, when was this going on?
So
what month and year?
Yeah. So I got diagnosed on May 17th. That was the day when I got diagnosed. And then I got my biopsy done on June 1st. And then I started my chemo on June 25th.
June 25th. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And can you recall your chemo drugs? Just
So I know it's ABVD. I don't know exactly what they stand for, but I'm sure that whoever's listening can look those up. Those are the pretty common Hodgkin's lymphoma drugs that they use. I know that one of the B stands for bleomycin, and it sucks. It is called the Red Devil for a reason, because it is a giant syringe that is about this big, and it is a push for a 20-minute push. And it sucks. Like that is the one that I really, really hate, because it makes everybody nauseous. And that's the issue for people who have Hodgkin's lymphoma. Like all the other medicines don't really suck except for that one.
Oh, wow.
And they told me I was going to lose my hair, which so I shaved it off. I had a little bit of a flow going, and they told me I was going to lose my hair, and I didn't lose it. So
Yeah. No, yeah. Full head of hair for those just listening, not watching. Yeah.
it was a little weird because that was something that I wasn't really concerned about. I mean, I knew that my hair would eventually grow back at some point, but my doctor was really adamant about it. He was like, it's going to fall out in clumps. It's going to be a little awkward. I know that's hard for like a 20-year-old to deal with, but it's going to happen.
Sure.
And I was like, all right, whatever, I'll shave my head. And then nothing happened. So
wow. So yeah, that's that, it just seems like, anybody losing hair through chemo sucks, right? Whether you're, especially, a young guy like yourself, but definitely I hearing experiences from women like, you guys, the women are out there, my hat's off to you. You just,
Absolutely.
for those that lose hair, that's just completely different. Like us guys, we can get away with a buzz cut or a, bald head, but yeah. So yeah, so you didn't lose it. That's good.
Yeah, I was very fortunate with that. So my my chemo journey started on the 25th of June, and right now it's October 5th. So I have done 8 total treatments, and I've got 4 left. So I've my original plan was to get 12 done, and just of the same regimen, exact same regimen. Nothing was supposed to change with the medicines because they're doing their job. I get PET scans every once in a while. Medicines are saying that they're doing their job, and very fortunate with that. And so my chemo, sometimes I have good ones, sometimes I have bad ones. It's pretty common amongst everybody, I'm assuming, who has chemo. There's days where I go in and I feel great, and then I leave and I feel great. And then there's days when I go in, I feel like crap, and then I'm going to leave feeling like crap. So I've had 3 ones where I've truly experienced what it's like to feel like you have quote unquote cancer, where you feel really bad. I've had 3 of those experiences and 5 good experiences. Those experiences really do suck, but if you've got a good support group, if you've got a good, with me, my good faith and just a good attitude, you're going to get through it. That's what I've found out through my journey myself.
Wow. Yeah. That's powerful stuff. Faith, spirituality, all that stuff. It's so important and so helpful, to just keep going, especially when you get knocked on your ass and then, you start to get up and you start to feel better. And before you know it, 2 weeks go by.
Right.
You got to do it all over again. Yeah. You get knocked on your ass again.
Yeah. My schedule that I do for my my chemos is, so I'm usually knocked out for, like, when I say knocked out, I mean not be able to work out and stuff. So I get my treatments done every other Friday. So that Saturday and Sunday, total rest days, total just sitting at home, doing nothing besides watching TV and eating. And then Monday, I've got to get back to my student manager job. So I'm a student manager at UNCW's baseball team. And that's just me moving outside, not doing too much heavy lifting, not really pushing myself too hard, just going out there and doing my job. And then by Wednesday and Thursday, that's when I feel quote unquote normal again. And that's when I get to lift again. That's when I get to work out. That's when I get to go back to a normal life again. I get to throw again. I get to hit. And that's how my schedule goes on the days and weeks that I have chemo.
Yeah, I remember, I would feel my best, like 2 days, a day before you got to go back in again, right? Because the more days you go through, the easier and stronger you start to regain your strength. Mm-hmm. If you lost some weight, you start to gain it back, things like that. But in the beginning, I was like trying to get a really hard workout in before I'd have to go back to chemo, because knowing I'd have to be down again for a while. I'd work out hard the day before, but I would notice my CNS getting hit hard in my body, because basically recover. If you're working out hard, the next day is when your body is like healing and recovering from that workout. But then I learned that maybe not a good idea the day before chemo.
Yeah,
it's all counterintuitive.
Yeah, I've had to kind of like change the way I normally train. So before I got sick, I'd train 6 to 7 days a week, and my off days were scheduled around game days and stuff like that. And now I try to train whenever I can. So it is a totally different experience from being healthy to dealing with this. So whenever I'm, like I said, my chemo is every 2 weeks. So I get about 8 days of good.
Yeah.
So I get about 8 days of being able to lift, being able to move around normally. And on that 8th day is when I have my chemo. So I still lift on the day I have my chemos. Like I go in because my chemo's at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So I know that I can lift at 6 in the morning and have food and recover enough until my treatment.
You gotta sit in the chair. Yeah. Wow.
I like to squat on those days because squatting is my favorite day. And I like to squat on those days because I know I'm going to be sitting in a chair. Don't really need to be moving around too much, so my legs will be fine.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said that, having that after, because I always had my appointments in the morning, but looking back, I'm like, oh man, maybe I should have had my appointments in the afternoon, and then I can enjoy the. Yeah,
it's good for me because I'm a student as well. So most of my classes are in the mornings, and I can get my morning classes done and then head over to Raleigh and take my 2-hour drive and be fine.
Oh wow, yeah. And so you're driving after your chemo appointment?
Before.
Before. Oh, that's right, because you're going to Raleigh from Wilmington to get your chemo.
I usually
and you still have time to do it.
Yeah, I stay until about Sunday night, and then I head home. I can drive myself from chemo. I can drive myself to and from chemo. It's just that one of the medicines they give me makes me a little drowsy, so I like to have my parents there. And one weird experience, not really a weird experience, but it makes sense. I'm 20 years old. Usually there aren't many 20-year-olds in the cancer ward, and usually they're like the younger people are like the 17 to 18-year-olds. They're with the pediatric care. I am right on that edge of not being in the pediatric care and being in the pediatric care. So I'm with a bunch of people who are like 65 and up at my chemo, where I get my chemo done. So it's a little bit different than what I was expecting because I had the option to go stay with the kids, and I thought it would be a little weird because I'm 20, and I thought I'd be just better off with the adults because I thought there would be more young adults. Turns out there are not, and I am the only person there who's under like 40, and everybody knows me. Everybody knows me by name. Everybody knows my story because I'm there every 2 weeks, and I'm the guy who looks different from everybody else. So so that's a little weird, but I've gotten used to it, and I love the nurses. I love the people who I'm there with. Everybody there is just so nice, and very, very blessed and fortunate to be able to have the people who I have working with me.
Oh yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. So we talked about your faith, your love for lifting and baseball. What other was there any other factors in your life that you changed since you got diagnosed? Any routines or?
Yeah. So I'm a very extroverted person, and with COVID going on and with me being severely immunocompromised, I had to change that a little bit. I normally like to go to sporting events. I love to go hang out with my friends and stuff like that. That was one thing that I had to change. Not for the better for my health, but not for the better for my mentality wise. And that's why lifting has been really, really influential in my mental health, because I would get a lot of my social energy and stuff like that from going out and hanging with my friends, hanging with my teammates and everything. But since COVID's been going around, and since I'm severely immunocompromised, I kind of have to lay off to the side a little bit.
Yeah, we got to be careful.
Yeah, very careful, because like neutrophils are very important for when you get your tests and your blood work done. Mine are always below 1.
Oh wow, yeah. So you're neutropenic like all the time.
Yeah, so I'm I'm at like 0.2 to 0.6 every time I get my treatment done. So I've got to stay away from people, wear my mask wherever I go.
Yeah. And not just COVID. I mean, flu, right? Common
Yeah,
cold
absolutely.
of any kind of virus, any kind of like, I mean, you don't want to get anything,
right?
When your neutrophils are that low.
Yeah. So that's why the lifting and staying with this bubble that I have with the baseball team here, that is something that I've had to change, because I was a really social person and I would go out and I'd hang out with my friends and the people who I didn't know and stuff like that. But that was just one thing I had to change. Very fortunate enough to have good friends, and I've met good friends at the gym. That's another great thing that happened here. I've met people at the gym. I've got a workout partner who I like to hang out with and work out with. And it's great. It's great for my mental health. It's great for my physical health too, to just, because those two are intertwined a lot with
absolutely
physical health, especially with dealing with something like this. Happy mind leads to a little bit better feeling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've, the beginning of this, creation of my podcast, I really wanted to get not just people's stories out there, but I kind of focus on a lot of my guests are, fitness workouts. I've had bodybuilders, I've had CrossFitters, strongman, and now you playing baseball, of course, lift, still power lift, strength train, things like that. So yeah, I just think that it's so important for people to get out there, do some exercise. I talk about this almost on every podcast. And of course, there's a lot of people fighting cancer out there that just did not do any fitness prior, right? So they're the ones that's going to have the toughest time, because it's like more important than ever now, when you're fighting cancer, to really get some kind of exercise if you didn't live that lifestyle prior. And and a lot of them are intimidated. They're like, well, I don't know what to do. I got to do, strength training is just, I recommend that for everybody. But, we always say, get a personal trainer, and it's tough. If you can't get one, you might be able to get one that could, there's a lot of programs out there, for cancer patients. So you might be able to find, and I could start researching that too, but having online trainers with no cost, giving their time to, and that's what they're, focus on. I'm going to try to put out a couple of basic videos with bands, stability ball, things like that. You don't even need weights at home. Just,
Right.
One or two pair of bands, and the walking, just walk a little farther every day, get your steps in. All the phones now can track your steps.
Yeah.
So increase your steps by like 200 steps a day or something, anything.
Yeah, that's kind of why I want to change my major to exercise science as well, because I want to show and I want to put out there that just because you're doing chemotherapy, just because you have cancer, doesn't mean that it can stop what you want to do and stop your physical fitness. And hopefully, when I have to do my dissertation,
or start a new journey with it,
right? Or start a new journey, exactly.
Yeah,
And when I have to do a dissertation at some point for when I graduate, I'm hoping to do mine on the effects of chemotherapy on lifting.
That's awesome.
So that's what my goal is to do that.
Yeah, God bless you, man. That's going to be so good. That's going to be so good for the people, because it's exercise so important for any adversity.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're not going through any adversity at all. I mean, obviously, it's so important, but the exercise, can do a lot of healing on the body, mentally. Not, we talked about that, right? But not just physically, of course, but mentally.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of my mental positiveness comes from hitting big numbers in the gym. And that is something that I really am trying to push towards right now. I'm trying to rebuild my strength. Like I said a little bit earlier, that I wanted to get back up to where I was before I got sick. And that has been my big push, has been to push to those numbers. And I've already surpassed a few of them. And now
awesome.
Now I'm just grinding it out, because I know that there are people who are following me on, say, Instagram or something like that, who I can be of an inspiration to. and I want to continue to do that. And I love doing that. And like there's TikTok. I'm not really big on TikTok, but I have a Twitter account. And I sometimes post my workouts on there, and that gives you an entirely different audience than Instagram does. So I just like spreading my story and showing that this isn't going to stop you. And there's actually, I met somebody on Twitter, 2 people actually, who fought Hodgkin's lymphoma and are playing college baseball again. So,
oh, wow. Cool. Very cool.
I've been able to talk to them. One of the dudes I'm going to talk to, he goes to Hofstra University, and he is actually in the conference for UNC Wilmington, and he's going to be coming down here when they play this year. So I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him at some point, because he was dealing with it his freshman year and sophomore year as well. And now he's back to playing college baseball. And that's a huge inspiration for me. And that's something that I want to be to other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your story is unbelievable and inspiring. And speaking of goals, because you're trying, you said, you surpassed some of your numbers, and, and for those listening, it depends on your fitness level, but this applies to any kind of goal while you're fighting cancer. But I always have to remind myself to start, with a small goal.
Mm-hmm.
You want those little wins, because sometimes if you have, unless you're used to it, like, you and me, we're working out, we're used to these big programs. We used to get these numbers up, but I had to dial it back and say, you know what, I just want these little wins. And anything, whether it's fitness or diet or a positive affirmation, one extra positive affirmation, just small little, or, hey, I'm going to try to maybe get in the shower today and not be out of breath. Because sometimes I remember I'd have to get in the shower and I'd have to lay down for like 2 hours because I'd be completely shot, those days after chemo. But those little wins can be very good for, your mind, so you're not like, oh, I didn't meet my goal today, oh, maybe your goal was too big, start with small, even if you got to meet multiple goals in a day.
Yeah. Speaking of little goals, when I started my lifting journey, so I started my Kemosabe lifts, quote unquote, which is my Instagram handle. I started.
Oh, you gotta tell us that story too, like where you got the name and stuff.
Yeah,
and this is the first time we've heard of this. His Instagram is, go ahead now. What is it now?
It's Kemosabe_lifts.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that on the thing.
Yeah, my dad actually came up with that name when he found out that I had to do chemo, and he was like, "All right, what's up, Kemosabe?" And immediately I was like, "There's something I can do with this, because it's a good nickname. It'll stick with me a little bit." And so I started this Kemosabe lifts like 2 or 3 days before I started my chemo, and I wanted to get back into lifting because I had my surgery. I lost about 15 pounds from my diagnosis to the day when I started my chemo. Wanted to get moving again. Like, that was my main goal, was to get moving. I wasn't really focused about numbers at that point. I was just wanting to move again. I wanted to get back into fitness. And like my biggest things are squat and deadlift. And my first day back, I wanted to squat because it's really important to me to have strong legs and just start moving again. So I did 225, 5 sets of 5, and I was like, I'm gassed. I've never been this tired after doing 225. And I had to really readjust my goals from there. And I was like, don't chase numbers right now. Chase getting healthy again. And that was something that really I had to think about, because I've been chasing numbers. I've been chasing a certain like physical fitness level my entire life with baseball and everything. And this was just starting to get back healthy. Like that, my goal was to get back healthy again. So once I started lifting again, started moving back into working out, the goals started adjusting because my body felt better and my mind was getting better. So.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Wow. All right. Gosh, is there anything else you want to tell the audience of, any suggestions, any inspiration?
I just wanted to thank you for having me on here. This is a great opportunity to spread my story and to meet and talk with other people who are going through similar situations. This is a great opportunity, and I thank you so much for it. And I also just wanted to remind people that it is important to have a good support staff with when you're dealing with this. Like, my family and my faith are above everything right now. And I just wanted to point that out and say that having a good family background is really going to help. And I hope that everybody who is dealing with this has that at some point.
Nice. Yes, absolutely. 100%. My wife's like my rock. So and my kids are great. And it just, without my wife, I don't know where I'd, be, but you need that, family or, friends or any kind of support system out there. I mean, you don't have to go through it alone. And there's a lot of, I've noticed, like, usually, you know, I don't want to like, put like a significatism or like a like thing on like men and women, but it just seems like there's the people that I've come across, men that have cancer, like really like have especially the maybe an older generation, really have a tough time with it, because they don't want to let anybody know. They want to keep it to themselves, or they were strong all their life. These are like older guys, and they just they don't want to show any kind of weakness, and it's not a weakness.
Mhm.
It's it's your adversity you're going through, and it's so important. And there's no burden. Like, a lot of people are even afraid to ask for help. Oh, can you maybe can you drive me, because I got my friends, they're really good. They help me, they take turns, they drive me to appointments so my wife doesn't have to keep coming off of work, and so we kind of all rotate in. But it's amazing if you ask for help. You are not a burden. People want to help you. It's tough because a lot of times they don't know how. And so maybe if they're not asking you, what can I do to help, things like that, it's because maybe they just don't know how to help you. But once you ask them, most of the time, yeah, they're happy to help. And if they're not your friend.
Yeah, my
Get out
entire
of
best
here.
friend group, they all shaved their head when they found
Oh, that's awesome.
when they found out I had to shave my head and when I had to do my chemo, and I couldn't have asked for any better friends. I truly
Yeah.
couldn't have. And if they were here, like, because they're all doing school and they're all doing baseball where they are, but if they were here when I had to do my own chemo, like, they would be driving me to there. They'd be driving me to and from appointments. They're great friends, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's so awesome. Yeah, so December so far is and then your scans would be how long after that, after your last chemo?
So my next PET scan is supposed to be early January, and
Okay.
from there we just find out whether or not I have to continue doing my chemo or not, and just from there. Looking forward to having good results because the results have been solid so far, very solid. The chemo is working, and very blessed and very fortunate for that as well.
Yeah, 100%. I want to bring you back here after the holidays. So
Absolutely.
we'll keep continue, following and chatting online here on Instagram. I'll put your handle on the on the YouTube, and also this is also on Apple Podcasts, Google, Anchor, Spotify, you name it. I got a lot of the podcast broadcasting out to these audio, because people like to listen, driving in and out of work, things like that. And I do have a pretty good amount of audience that do watch the YouTube, but like I said, there's still a fair amount that just listen.
Great.
So, but yeah, no, this has been great, and yeah, I'm definitely and inspiring that you want to inspire others too. I think that's what's important, and that's what connects people to other people they don't know. And hey, look at us. Our adversities. We met each other online, and we connected, and I just think those connections are so powerful. We
Absolutely.
need more of that in the world right now, more positivity. What you always put in, that's what I always say, whether it's faith or spirituality, whatever you put out in the universe, it comes back to you. Whatever you put out in God or your faith, it comes back to you. So, it's so important, you know?
Yes, sir. Thank you very
So
much for this opportunity. This is great to talk to you, and I hope that we continue to converse and have a good conversation whenever I'm done with my last round of chemo.
Awesome. Definitely. All right, guys. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode. We'll see you on the next episode. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button on the YouTube channel. And if you're listening to the audio platforms, make sure you put in a review. I appreciate it. We're trying to reach out to other cancer patients, fighters, warriors, survivors, and also caregivers. Caregivers are just so, they go through so much. So it's so important. I want to support you and you caregivers out there and give a shout out to them. So, all right. We'll see you on the next episode, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
From the Cancer Sucks Studios, that is a wrap. Check us out in future episodes of our podcast and be sure to subscribe. But before we go, just want to give a shout out to all the admirable and devoted caregivers out there. Until next time, stay strong. We got this.
Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.